The bishop told us Oakhaven was safe. He was wrong.
The story paints a grand picture, but the reality is much smaller. It all starts on a cutting mat, where I cut several balsa wood beams into shape. I also sliced smaller planks from balsa panels, which will be used to build up the walls and the roof structure. After that, it's just a slow process of assembling everything piece by piece. Because the house is meant to be in a state of decay, I start damaging parts of the roof to make it look worn. Then I add a foam board floor and begin attaching the wall planks to build up the structure. A house also needs a window, so I cut one into the wall. Next, I shape a small piece of XPS foam to form a gentle hill beside the house. After that, I cover the ground with a mixture of plaster, brown paint and wood glue to create a hard base and help everything blend together. For the walls on the inside of the house, I use the same mix, but add yellow paint and some grass flocking to give them a muddy texture. To add more detail to the terrain, I sprinkle small rocks onto the still wet ground layer. I then add a dead tree made from a dried bush branch to give the scene a more lifeless feel. Since this is a farmer's house, it also needs a small field. Using a spatula, I carve shallow furrows into the half-hardened ground. After that, I build a fence around the farm using matchsticks for the posts and small balsa planks for the rails. But because this is part of a decaying town, the fence is left broken and uneven. The right side of the house also needed something larger, so I add a second dead tree, this time much bigger. The house itself still needed a door, which I built from balsa wood and matchsticks. And I barricaded the window to reinforce the abandoned look. The terrain still needed some vegetation, so I spread the glue across the ground and sprinkled on fine grass flocking. The farmland also needed crops, even if they're long dead, so I add patches of long grass and place them upright to represent withered plants. The house itself still required much more decay. So I break parts of the interior walls, cut holes through the wooden planks, and peel away sections to roughen up the structure. The ground still felt too alive for the town in this condition. So I cover everything with a watered down dark brown wash and give the wood a dull greyish brown paint. The roof also needed more detail, so add small shingles made from balsa wood and coat them in the dark grey paint and glue mix. Even in places like this, some things continue to grow. So I added a cluster of egg sacs along with strands of sticky residue made from UHU gel glue. And with that, it's finally time to move on to the story.
The bishops in the capital spoke of Oakhaven with a certainty that only the ignorant possesses. They sat beneath their golden icons of the 5 gods and promised a safe harbor, a final rest before the climb to the monastery or forget the veiled. They pretended to know the reach of the rod. They knew nothing. Our group was a collection of outcasts, 8 sharp edges, and a high priest who was, frankly, a liability. He marshaled us not because he was a warrior, but because the church insisted on having a divine witness. We never asked for his prayers, and as it turned out, neither did the village. 40 simple farmers lived here once. Now it's just a larder for the infection. The carnage began before we could even unbuckle our packs. The priest was the first to go. He was standing near a cottage door, probably preparing a blessing for the poor villagers. When the wood splintered, something that used to be human lunged from the shadows. Before he could utter a single holy word, he was gone, dragged into the dark of the house. A useless end for a useless man. The chaos didn't stop there. The small druidic man was next, caught with the very woods he tried to soothe. Then Valerius, the thin, bald madman with the Zweihander. I watched him carve through a dozen of those pink pulsating horrors until his blade finally notched and the weight of the flesh dragged him down. He died laughing, which is more than I can say for the priest. 6 of us are left. We've traded our fate for cold steel. The forest lies ahead, and Forget waits behind the monastery veils. If the church blessings couldn't save their own priest, it certainly won't save us.